Hello, folks. Now, did you check that behind us? Those snow-covered peaks. Oh yeah. It may be the first week of May. A little late into the spring, but here, where we are in this part of the country, those Sierra Nevadas will still have snow. Some years, even into the summer, you will find snow at the tops of these mountains. Now, we're low enough where we don't have to endure the cold weather of those high elevation peaks, but it's a great backdrop, giving us a great geographic background for today's location. But it just so happens that the word Nevada is not only a word used to identify the Sierra Nevadas, those mountains right behind us. It's also a word used to identify a state in the US. That's right, we're finally away outside the realm of California. It's a large state, had to do a lot, and it took a lot of time, but we're finally in a different one on this tour. So with that all said, I just cannot hide the excitement and anticipation on my face. Let me formally introduce us to our 45th state here on the coverage project, Nevada, the Silver State. Wait a minute, 45 out of 50. That means we only have 5 states left. You can count the number of states we have left in America to visit on one hand. That's incredible. We've come so far. We can't give up now, but let's enjoy our first moments in Nevada. Before we do anything or say anything further, I need you guys to help me correct the record on this. Is it Nevada? Is it Nevada? I've been saying Nevada my whole life. And I mean, Nevada is the traditional Spanish way of saying Nevada. The Spanish were the ones who named the Sierra Nevadas, and I felt it was only, correct my whole life to say Nevada. But the locals say, no, it's Nevada. So please, help me figure out what I should be saying. But for the purpose of this video and a couple other locations in Nevada, I will be saying Nevada because that's the way the locals say it nowadays. Well, in front of us is the Nevada State Legislature. There's a lot of government buildings, a lot of municipal buildings here, and it seems obvious at this point we are in a state capital. Yeah, we ended California with a state capital, and now we begin a new state, Nevada, with a capital city. So I welcome you all to the capital city of Nevada, Carson City. It's a city that's approaching 60,000, not as populous as Sacramento with over 500,000, but it's a nice small city, and in contrast to a lot of capital cities I've been to, it's a very peaceful, very walkable city. So let's go no further. Our first legitimate stop here is going to be the Capitol building, of course. Let's head on over there. Each state gets its own state capitol building, of course. It's the building that all the business that a certain state needs to get done will get done in. Each state gets to design its own beautiful palace. And each state's design is different. Some are extraordinarily different, but of course we play the game. What do you think of the Nevada State Capitol building. Well, I will say this, it's very homely, very tranquil here. The Capitol complex itself is very small, but that's not to say that the building itself could have potential on the interior. It's got a nice brick facade with a silver dome. That might be silver, representing the Silver State. More on the silver later, but a silver dome with a flag on top. And overall, it's very calm, very, very calm. No, I don't know. This is giving me very much like a New England Ivy League high prestigious institution atmosphere. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's the brick face that really does that for me, but I don't know. I guess in the political world, this is the highest, most prestigious institution you will get in this state. So, well, let's go in. Well, the interior is just as cozy as the exterior here. I really enjoyed our time in that building. As small as it was just so interesting to see the antique design still preserved. From its inception, Carson City was always meant to serve as a hub for the administration of the territory and later the state. Since its founding in 1858, Carson City has served as not only a center for any political business, but a lot of other meaningful business, impactful to not only the state of Nevada, but also the American West, as we'll get to see. It's only the 6th largest city in Nevada. Las Vegas definitely takes the cake for number 1, and there's a few more before we get to Carson City, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any value or worth. It has a tremendous amount. That and the state of Nevada is very, very sparsely populated. The population itself isn't the greatest in America. It's also not the most densely populated, to say the least. There's a lot of empty desert in this state, but Carson City does have a lot to brag about. So let's continue to discover the great significance of Carson City, capital of the Silver State. You know, if we were in any other state, I'd probably describe Carson City as a mix between a political administration hub and then, you know, your western town and all the charm it has there. But we are in Nevada, which means gambling is legal. So you're gonna see all these casinos lined up along the downtown street. None is more famous here in Carson City than the Nugget Casino. Are you feeling lucky? I don't condone gambling at all. In fact, I already took my fair share of gambles here in Nevada by reserving a spot at a first come, first serve campground. And those are pretty tricky, especially when you're doing it on a Friday today, because you never know how many people show up. You could be out of luck. So that was my gamble. Luckily it paid off, but be careful when you're gambling here in Nevada. You could lose a lot. You could win a lot, but you could lose a lot. Additionally, since it is the capital of this state, it gets its own state museum. And state museums, as I've traveled to these different states and come across the different buildings and places to learn about the cultural history, it's hit or miss because sometimes they're closed or under renovations or there's just something going on. But luckily, here in Nevada, it's open. So I want to check out the museum and see if we can learn anything about this great state. Take a look at this. Seriously, this is what I'm talking about. Sparsely populated. This is Las Vegas. This is where we are. Most of Nevada is just empty. Well, that was absolutely one of the better state museums I've gone to around the country. That museum is a great place to learn everything there is to know about Nevada. History, from natural history to human history, and the creation of Nevada as a state from its beginning to today. Additionally, I hope you paid attention to that last part of the museum tour montage, because that showcased an important part of Carson City. The Carson City Mint. Oh yeah, at one point, Carson City was one of the few mints that made coins for the entire nation. Now, I was the little old town of Carson City here in, well, generally as frontier as it gets here in America. Why was this place selected? Originally, Carson City and its area was meant just as a rest stop, a stopping by place for people on their way to California to get some gold, or at least try to. But then something extraordinary that sort of mirrored the California gold rush happened. Silver was struck at the Comstock Lode, not too far from Carson City, and suddenly the history of Nevada was changed entirely. This Comstock Lode discovery of 1859 created a frenzy here in this region. People came not only for the gold, but also to Nevada for the silver. It's generally thought that this silver rush spurred the ratification of statehood to Nevada in 1864. So naturally, this being the first major silver boom in the United States history, it spurred a lot of growth for Carson City. And this is the original building of the U.S. Mint. Its chapter in Carson City, the old Carson City Mint, defunct now part of a state museum, but it still has that shining glamour, as shiny as the silver that was mined here. And this place wasn't just a hub for people involved with the silver industry that boomed here. This also became the commercial hub for the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, a big part of Nevada's economy at the time. Oh dude, Lincoln Highway? Oh, you guys think Route 66 is cool? Wait till you hear about the Lincoln Highway. This highway was the first of its kind, really. The national road could only go so much when the US only had a certain amount of territory, but the Lincoln Highway was the first of its kind to be an automobile trail that linked the East Coast and the West Coast. So it went across the country, east to west, and I guess Carson City was one of its stops here. I would really, really love to do like a Lincoln Highway deep dive, because this was a very, very important highway. It only lasted for a few years as the main power road, but it still holds its legacy in American history. Now this is a pretty stellar view behind us. This is Washoe Lake, just a few minutes away from Carson City. And you know, I think this is really overshadowed by Lake Tahoe. Everyone loves Lake Tahoe, but I did want to give Washoe Lake a little bit of love, because from this very private area, I mean, there's maybe one campground, that's the campground I'm staying at, there's just nothing here except for you and this pretty lake and the snow-capped peaks. Oh, Kit Carson, you were a 19th century mountain man, a frontiersman who wanted to be as free as a bird and explored vast amounts of the West. Oh yeah, you fearlessly explored the regions of America that most were too afraid to venture out into, the wild country. And now you have a capital city named after you. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Carson City, it's a large enough city of substantial importance. I mean, this was one of the main hubs of the silver boom here in Nevada. But it's also, as you can see, not too far from the great rugged outdoors. So that's all I have to say for Carson City, capital of the Silver State. Anyways, how fun was this as an entry into Nevada? The Silver State, number 45. But I haven't forgotten that little game we play every time we enter a state. What comes to mind with Nevada? Possibly, you might think of the desert. I mean, most of the state is a misnomer. There are the snow-capped peaks we see here, and of course the Sierra Nevadas, but most of the state is just sparse, empty desert. Much of Nevada is located within the Great Basin, and contrary to a lot of the hot and warm deserts that we find in the American Southwest, like the Sonoran or the Chihuahuan Desert or the Mojave Desert that we've all seen, this gets significantly colder. Without even watching this Carson City video, some of you who are very familiar with Nevada history and culture know about how much silver has transformed the state. Have you ever heard of Area 51? Yeah, that's in Nevada too. Yeah, all those spooky alien stories we still don't know the meaning of. Some people think the FBI have all the secrets to Area 51 that we're just not allowed to understand the knowledge of. And of course, Nevada, everyone thinks of Las Vegas with the casinos on every block. I mean, casinos are a staple of Nevada as a whole, but you really find the best of Nevada's casinos in Las Vegas. Not only the casinos, but a lot of the Las Vegas attractions like the musicians and performers, magicians. Don't forget about the buffets. But yeah, that's Nevada. For the next few days, we will be in this magnificent state, and we'll stay just in this region. Now, Nevada is a huge state, one of America's largest, but for the sake of efficiency here on our Best of the Most West tour, for time and money's sake, we're gonna stick to this general western region of Nevada. But don't worry, there's plenty of locations of significant interest, so that will be for us to enjoy. So, looking forward to the adventures that we'll have on the coverage project in this Silver State. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.